Hi everyone. I want to show you what I am talking about by doing a little refresher on a document analysis with some questions because it's been at least a month probably since you've done one. So let's take a look here. I'm going to share my screen with you. Sharing my screen looks like, no. Oh, Lord. I think this one, but I need to go to a different tab because, of course, that is not on there. That's annoying. Nope. Nope. Aha. No. False. Dang it. Found it. Yay. See, you may miss me, but here's the thing. I can still be dysfunctional even from a video. It's great. Okay, so here is the document A for our Wednesday document activity, and it is an excerpt from the Texas Declaration of Independence. Now, we know that the United States Declaration of Independence was in 1776, and it was a big old screw you to King George over in England and was like, hey, we're our own country and we don't like you for these reasons. And then they listed off a bunch of reasons. So this is basically the same thing. You can think of it in the same way. This is Texas saying, hey, we're going to be our own country to Mexico. They did not just say, hey, we're going to join this other country. No. There was actually a little bit of time where Texas was its own country. So that's what this document is. And it is, we can read here in the sourcing little paragraph, the italicized bit at the top. It says, this is an excerpt from the Texas Declaration of Independence from March 2nd, 1836. It was drafted in only one day, by delegates to the convention of 1836, which had been called by leaders of the revolution to discuss the future of Texas. So already there's a little red flag in my brain going, one day? They took so long to write the Declaration of Independence from the United States to England. They took so long to write the Constitution. One day? Huh. Well, okay, let's see what it says. And again, this is a little excerpt here. We can see that it has these ... dots, these ellipses, which basically mean that there's more that was originally written that we're just not bothering with right now. So it says, when a government has stopped, to protect the lives, liberty, and property of the people, it is the right of the people to abolish or get rid of such government and create another one that will secure their future welfare and happiness. Okay, so right away, kind of sounds like the United States Declaration of Independence, and basically it's saying whenever the government is not serving the people, we have the right to get rid of it. Well, okay, sure, that's what the original United States Declaration of Independence says too. All right, second little piece here. General Santa Anna has overturned, goofiness, I'm mispronouncing things. General Santa Anna has overturned the constitution of his country and now offers us the cruel option either to abandon our homes or submit to the most intolerable of all tyranny. And there's a little note here in parentheses. It says, Santa Anna had abolished the Mexican Constitution in 1835 and had limited the power of states to govern themselves. So this is a complicated backstory, but basically the United States government had the power, well, okay, sorry, backing up again, gathering my thoughts. This would be as if the United States government said, okay, states, we're getting rid of all of your power, no more Constitution, no more Bill of Rights, no more guaranteed powers, we're going to take over and just govern you from the center, federal government, national government angle, rather than individual state kinds of things. So Mexican states were also not very happy about this, and that included the region of Texas. And so that's why these revolutionaries were so upset with Santa Anna because of this declaration. Then these kind of phrases down here at the bottom, continuing with their Declaration of Independence. It says, the Mexican government has failed to establish any public system of education. It denies us the right of worshiping the Almighty as we want to. It has demanded that we give up our arms, which are essential to our defense. It has invaded our country both by sea and by land, with intent to lay waste to our territory and drive us from our homes. It has encouraged the merciless Indians to massacre the inhabitants of our defenseless frontiers. We therefore do hereby resolve and declare that our political connection with the Mexican nation has forever ended, and the people of Texas do now constitute a free and independent republic. So basically, I had you go through the United States Declaration of Independence and come up, categorize all the complaints that people had against King George. These are their list of complaints against the Mexican government. And a lot of them, to me, sound like some of the things guaranteed by the United States Bill of Rights that don't apply in Mexico the same way, because the United States Bill of Rights doesn't apply to any other country. But this one here looks like, to me, looks like the First Amendment, right? Freedom of religion. This one looks like the Second Amendment, giving up arms. Invaded our country and drive us from our homes, I mean, is not great, but kind of sounds like it could be related to the Third or Fourth Amendment with like your right to privacy and not quartering soldiers. And either way, lack of safety, you have the right to anything that is not otherwise listed by the United States Constitution. It just, to me, I'm getting like a Bill of Rights vibe that they're kind of complaining about here. So that being said, we come down below to our questions. The first one says, according to document A, why did Texans revolt against the Mexican government? Oh my gosh, it's like they have a whole list of complaints. You also had just done that reading where you, from Monday, where you learn a little bit more about some of the major complaints that Texans had as far as cultural and economic ties to the United States, their worries over the continuance of slavery in the Texas territory. You have all these things. So if I were you, I would list off some of the complaints above. And you shouldn't write that. You should write some of the actual complaints. So I'm going to put it in brackets. Don't actually copy word for word what I'm saying right now, but this is how I would answer the question. So you list off some of the complaints above, as well as make a connection. I can spell. Connection to the notes where you filled in the blank from Monday. Again, these are things that you should write, but I'm not going to answer the question for you. So either way. Sourcing. Who wrote the Texas Declaration of Independence? We said it was leaders from the Revolution. Ooh, there we go. And it says that up in this sourcing paragraph. Leaders of the Revolution. And who wrote it? Leaders from the Revolution. And as far as the trustworthiness, here's where you really got to think about it. If these are the leaders, then they're probably really biased against the Mexican government. So this might not be a really truly accurate picture of how all Tejanos were feeling at the time, but may really ring true with how American Texans who were already part of the revolution were feeling. So this doesn't mean that everyone in Texas really felt this way. So that could be an argument against it being trustworthy. You could also say that this is a really trustworthy document because it captures their sentiments really well, as far as the revolutionaries go. They wrote it, not someone else writing it for them. This wasn't written by the Mexican newspapers explaining how they felt. It was written by them. So leaders from the revolution trustworthy, regarding their point of view, but probably not super trustworthy in representing all the feelings of all Texan inhabitants. Yeah, that's the word. Okay, we did that. Loving it. Okay, sourcing number 3. What is the purpose of the document? To declare independence from Mexico, to formally separate Texas and Mexico. Mexico. Separate Texas from Mexico. How might the trustworthiness of this document, how might this affect the trustworthiness of the document as evidence for why Texans revolted? So for this one, I would say that it's definitely, I think it's really trustworthy because it was written by them about why they were leaving. So I would say it's trustworthy for that. Again, doesn't mean that it represents every single person living in the territory, because this was just a small group of people that were revolting. This wasn't necessarily the entire population of Texas. So trustworthy because it represented, that's not a word, there we go, represented, thanks autocorrect, represented the views of the revolutionaries, not all Texans. And finally, the Texas Declaration of Independence closely mirrors the sentiments and structure of the United States Declaration of Independence. Why might the authors have chosen to do this? Well, I think because, well, number one, because it already existed and was effective in separating the United States from England. In separating the US and England. But also, how long did they write this in? What did it say up here? Oh yeah, only one day they drafted this. So are they going to create something from scratch? No, we're not reinventing the wheel here, people. They knew back then the same thing I tell you all the time. Work smarter, not harder. So if they did this in one day, of course they're going to go off of the model. Like, for real. This, just because this was in the 1830s didn't mean that they didn't copy some things from people sometimes. So why might the authors chose to do this? Because they were crunched. Oh, Miss M with the bad spelling here. Because they were crunched for time, and this was a model that they could copy off of. There we go. Okay, so anyway, I hope that little demo helped. Feel free to go back and rewind and like zero in on what you need more help with, and come up at Zoom later today in a meeting in case you'd like a demo of any of the other documents, because that's what we're going to be discussing. Anyway, have a good day.